And it's time now for business news. Stephen Carroll has joined us on set. Now, Stephen has been looking at the political impact of the Japanese parliamentary elections. We were looking at the political impact. You're looking at the business impact, and the reaction from the markets in Asia.
Yeah, that's right. When the Japan's Nikkei opened, it opened its highest level since April after the country's Liberal Democratic Party swept into power. Why is that? Well, the Conservative Party said they're going to put more money into spending on public works. They've also given a target for the country's economic growth of 3%. That's impressed investors. They're looking for more stimulus for the world's third largest economy, which has been lagging recently. So in Tokyo, shares jumped 1.6% when they opened. They're about 1% up now. One group particularly happy with the win. You can see just under 1% up there in Nikkei at the moment. One particular group of shares that's done very well today is energy stocks. The nuclear provider TEPCO, their shares closed up 33%. Because basically this Conservative government say they won't ditch nuclear power, which had been a promise of the outgoing government.
So the markets see this as good news. And staying in Asia, there are signs that the Chinese leaders, the new leadership in China, is ready to prop up the flagging economic growth in China.
Yeah, that's right. These are comments coming from China's annual economic policy conference. It's a little coded, the language, I'll give it to you. Beijing says they're now aiming for what they're calling sustained and healthy development of their economy. Now that's opposed to relatively fast growth, which apparently means that they wanted things to move a little bit faster. But as you can see, China's growth there, incredible rates compared to any European economies, but still on a decline for the past few years. The country's trying to keep it at 7.5%. The new premier said he'll be trying to do that using prudent monetary policy and a proactive fiscal stance, trying to keep it at that 7.5% mark.
And almost every day in the business news, we look at the latest developments in the talks on the fiscal cliff in the U.S. Now, there has been some sign of compromise by the Republicans?
Yes, this is an offer from the Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives, John Boehner. He said that he would be interested in increasing tax for those who earn over $1 million a year. Now, the current top tax rate in the U.S. is 35%. Under this fiscal cliff of measures, which is $600 billion worth of tax rises and cuts, if they come into force, it would go up. He's now said for the first time that he would be interested in seeing that rate rise for those who earn over $1 million. The White House hasn't accepted the offer yet, but time running out for them to make a decision.
All right, we'll keep monitoring that. Just 2 weeks left. Here in France, there's a very different debate taking place over taxation. The actor Gérard Depardieu has come under fire from the French government over his decision to move to Belgium and pay his taxes there. He's not the only one, though, who's left France to avoid its high taxes.
Criticisms poured in thick and fast ever since Gérard Depardieu revealed his decision to ditch his French passport and seek Belgian residency for tax reasons.
What could be more normal than for those who earn enormous amounts of money to pay a lot of tax?
Depardieu is not the first to bail out on France. He's joined a growing current of the wealthy who've all fled the Socialist Party's policies on the rich. A wealth tax on those with assets over 1.3 million euros, 45% tax on income over 150,000 euros, not to mention President François Hollande's plan to push ahead with a wealth tax of 75% on income over 1 million euros. As the moneyed masses head for the border, it's fast becoming a concern. They're worth 8 billion euros a year in lost revenue to the government. Some politicians have suggested taking inspiration from abroad.
I want the tax exiles to pay the difference between the taxes of their country of origin and their country of residence. That is the American system. That's the way it works in the United States.
Another solution could be renegotiating the EU's tax treaties, something Hollande has already spoken of. Belgium may have lifted some of the secrecy around its banking practices. However, its wealth-friendly tax rate seems set to keep it one of the premier destinations in Europe for those looking to keep the government out of their pockets.
Now, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Matthew, is warning that the European welfare system may be in jeopardy.
Yeah, that's right. Angela Merkel's been speaking to the Financial Times newspaper in the UK, and she's warned that Europe will have to work very hard to maintain its generous system of welfare benefits. Now, she makes the point that Europe accounts for 50% of the world's spending on social welfare, but only 25% of its GDP. She's pushing for more competitiveness in Europe, linked, though, to austerity, fiscal discipline, whichever term you prefer. and she's trying to get EU countries to support these propositions to make sure that they can feed and clothe, I suppose, their ageing populations as the economic crisis continues. One country that's seen a lot of those cuts is Spain. Demonstrations against austerity measures brought in by the Spanish government have become an almost daily occurrence in Spanish towns and cities. Thousands more expected in the streets of Madrid later on. Let's speak to our correspondent in Madrid, Fiona Govan. Fiona, amid all the other cuts, this demonstration is about pensions. Why has that proved so controversial?
Well, yes, as you say, we have seen demonstrations every week, almost every day, from some sector. But today, the workers are being called out by their unions to protest a proposed pension reform. Now, this is a fast-track plan by the Conservative government here, which will see the rising of the age of retirement and a cutting of the pension that's linked to inflation. Now, this is important. It's a very prickly issue here because Rajoy, a year ago in his campaign, it was one of the few election pledges that he actually made, that he would not be touching pensions, that they were safe. And now we see 50% of Spanish people are against any kind of reform of the pension system. So we're going to have lots of people out on the streets very angry at yet another deeper austerity measure that's going to affect an already very troubled country.
All right, Fiona, Cyril speaking here. We've been talking now about a bailout for Spain for months. Why hasn't Mariano Rajoy asked for the aid yet?
Well, that is a very good question. It's now seen more as a when will Spain ask for the bailout rather than an if, and that speculation has been rising. It's very fevered. Now, here in Spain, people are seeing it as a weakness of Rajoy, that the uncertainty over the decision-making process is really damaging him at the polls. But this weekend, we had some light shed on that decision-making process, or lack of decision-making process, when we learnt of a warning issued by Angela Merkel to Mariano Rajoy, saying it was not the right time for Spain to move forward with an international bailout request, that there may not be enough support within Europe, and that Germany itself might be in a difficult position to support Spain's request, that it would not play well in the German parliament. So we just have to wait and see what will happen next.
All right, Fiona Govan speaking from Madrid. Thank you very much. And finally, Peter Jackson's new film, The Hobbit, has broken records in its first weekend in cinemas. Impressive numbers.
Yeah, The Hobbit has grossed $84.8 million, excuse me, in its first weekend in opening in the United States and Canada, estimated $135 million worldwide. It's the biggest ever December opening in America. The film has taken in more of any of the 3 Lord of the Rings installments. That's despite the mixed reviews that it's gotten and also the fact that it wasn't nominated for any Golden Globes.
A good investment for producers, then. Thank you very much, Stephen Carroll, for Business News. World News is back with Stuart Norval in just a few minutes. Bye-bye.